It was a warm afternoon, the kind of day where the sun seemed to stretch across the sky like it had nowhere else to go. In a quiet neighborhood on the outskirts of the city, three boys were wandering along the empty streets, laughing and talking as they went. They weren't wealthy, far from it, but they were rich in curiosity and friendship. Each of them had a spark in his eyes, a sense that even the smallest things could turn into adventures if you looked at them the right way. The oldest of the three, tall for his age, had a careful mind. He liked to notice details, things that most people walked past without seeing. The second boy, smaller and wiry, had hands that were always moving, tinkering with sticks, stones, or anything he could get his fingers on. The youngest was quiet, thoughtful, often watching the other two with a gentle smile, learning from their energy but thinking carefully before acting. Together they made a team, each bringing something the others didn't have. They had grown up in the same neighborhood, gone to the same school, and shared countless small moments, running after stray dogs, helping neighbors carry groceries, or skipping stones on the river near the edge of town. As they walked down a stretch of road lined with tall trees, their laughter suddenly paused. Up ahead they saw a sleek black car parked awkwardly on the side of the road. Its tires looked expensive, the kind you would only see on a car belonging to someone with more money than most people could dream of. One of the tires, the front left, was flat. The car leaned slightly to one side as if it were tired and struggling to stay upright. The boys stopped and stared for a moment. None of them had ever been this close to a car like that. They had seen luxury vehicles in magazines or on TV, but never right here on their street. And yet, despite the car's beauty, it was clearly in trouble. Before they could think too much about it, a man stepped out of the car. He was dressed in neat clothes, a light jacket over a shirt and trousers that were obviously expensive. His shoes shone like they had just been polished, and his hair was perfectly combed, but his face wasn't full of arrogance or impatience. Instead, he wore a look of frustration mixed with concern. He looked around the car, then knelt down to inspect the flat tire, running a hand over it in thought. The oldest boy nudged the second. "Looks like he's stuck," he whispered. "Yeah," the second replied, "but what can we do? It's a big car. Looks hard to fix." The youngest boy, who had been silent so far, shook his head slightly. "We can try," he said softly. His voice didn't carry the same boldness as the others, but it held a quiet confidence. "We can help him. We know how to fix tires." The other two looked at him like he had just suggested something crazy. "Are you serious?" the middle boy asked. I don't know. A billionaire car or something." The oldest laughed. "Yeah, and what if he yells at us or calls the cops?" The youngest boy shrugged. "We won't know until we try. Maybe he just needs help." They hesitated for a moment, but the boys were used to thinking practically. They didn't have much, but they had learned to use what they had. In their neighborhood, helping someone, even in a small way, was something that felt right, and the idea of someone stranded, frustrated, and in need of assistance was too real to ignore. They walked closer to the car, the youngest boy speaking first. "Excuse me, sir," he called gently. The man looked up, slightly surprised to see three boys standing there. Hello?" he said, his voice polite but cautious. "Can I help you?" "We saw your tire," the oldest boy said. "We can help fix it if you want. We know how to change tires." The man's eyebrows rose and he blinked a few times, clearly unsure of what to say. He looked at them, then at the flat tire, then back at them. Finally, he gave a small nod. "Well, I suppose that would be helpful." "Thank you." The boys got to work immediately. They didn't need instructions or guidance. They had done this before, practicing on their bikes, helping neighbors, and learning from watching their fathers and older friends. The oldest boy leaned under the car, loosening the bolts with surprising skill. The middle boy lifted the car slightly with a small jack they had found near a nearby driveway, while the youngest boy carefully rolled the spare tire into position. The man watched them closely, impressed by their confidence and teamwork. He could see the determination in their movements, the focus in their eyes, and the unspoken understanding they had with each other. They weren't just three kids trying to do a chore. They were a team, a unit moving in sync without needing to speak. It wasn't long before the flat tire was off, and the spare was securely in place. The boys tightened the bolts carefully, checking each one twice, making sure the tire was safe. The man sighed in relief, stepping back to look at the car. I can't believe you did this so quickly." "Thank you," he said, his voice warmer now. The boys smiled, brushing their hands on their pants and wiping sweat from their foreheads. "No problem, sir," the oldest said. "Glad we could help." The man studied them for a moment as if weighing something in his mind. Then he said, "You boys have a good sense of responsibility. It's rare to see kids willing to help without expecting anything in return." The middle boy shrugged. "It's just what we do. We help people when we can." "Exactly," the youngest said. "We like to help." The man nodded, clearly pleased. "Well, I want to thank you properly. It's not often someone helps me so willingly. You deserve something for this." The boys exchanged nervous glances. They weren't used to being praised, especially not by someone so well-dressed with a car like that. It's okay," the oldest said. "We don't need anything." But the man insisted. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a card. "Here," he said, handing it to the oldest boy. "This is my contact. I'm a businessman, but more importantly, I believe in helping those who help others. Keep this. If you ever need advice, help, or an opportunity, reach out." The boys looked at the card, stunned. None of them had ever held something so official-looking. They didn't fully understand the words or the weight behind them, but they sensed the importance. They thanked him again and promised to take good care of it. After making sure the car was ready to go, the man started the engine. The roar of the car startled them slightly, and before they knew it, he drove off down the road, leaving the boys standing there staring after him. They laughed nervously, the tension of the moment fading. "Did that really just happen?" the middle boy asked. "Yeah," the youngest said, looking down at the card in his hand. "We helped someone. Really important. And he seemed nice." The oldest boy smiled, shaking his head. "I can't believe we actually did that. That was crazy, but I'm glad we helped." The boys started walking back home, still talking about what had happened. They imagined all kinds of scenarios. Maybe the man would call them again, maybe he would invite them somewhere. Maybe they had just done a simple good deed that would fade from memory. But deep down, they all felt a small spark of excitement. Something about the day felt different. As the sun began to dip lower, painting the streets with golden light, the boys reached the corner where their homes were. They waved goodbye to each other and went their separate ways, unaware that this small act of kindness would soon ripple far beyond their neighborhood. Something had changed, even if they didn't know it yet. And while they had no idea how the next day would unfold, the memory of the man's smile and the car's roar stayed with them. A reminder that sometimes the smallest hands can make a big difference. Little did they know, the very next afternoon a black SUV would arrive at their house, and their lives would start to change in ways they could never have imagined. But for now they simply went home, proud of what they had done, ready to face another ordinary day, completely unaware that the extraordinary was waiting just around the corner. The next day began like any other. The sun rose slowly over the quiet streets, birds chirped in the trees, and the boys went about their morning routines. They had breakfast, got ready for school, and laughed as they walked together just like they always did. But there was a quiet feeling in the air, a sense that today might not be like any other day. As they rounded the corner near their houses, the youngest boy noticed something unusual. A black SUV was parked at the curb, gleaming under the morning sun. It was not a car they had ever seen in their neighborhood before. Its polished surface reflected the houses around it, and the engine was silent, yet somehow it carried a presence that made them stop in their tracks. "Is that?" the middle boy asked, squinting. The oldest boy narrowed his eyes. "I don't know, but it's not normal for a car like that to be here." The boys exchanged uneasy glances. They had learned to trust their instincts, and something about that SUV felt different, important, maybe even serious. It was parked perfectly right in front of the youngest boy's house, as if it had been waiting for them. Before they could think too much about it, the door of the SUV opened slowly, and out stepped the man from the car they had helped yesterday. He looked calm and confident, but his eyes held a warmth that immediately put the boys at ease. He waved gently at them, and the youngest boy felt his heart beat a little faster. "Good morning, boys," the man said, his voice kind and steady. "I hope I'm not intruding." The boys stared at him, unsure how to respond. The oldest boy finally spoke up, his voice a little shaky. Good morning, sir. What brings you here?" The man smiled. "I wanted to come by and see you personally. Yesterday you helped me when I was in trouble, and I haven't forgotten it. I wanted to thank you properly and maybe give you an opportunity you didn't expect." The youngest boy stepped forward slightly, curious. Opportunity? He repeated. Yes, the man said, nodding. You helped me without expecting anything in return, and that is rare. Most people would have ignored the situation, but you didn't. That says a lot about your character. It says that you have the courage and honesty to make a difference, and I'd like to involve you in something meaningful. The middle boy frowned slightly, unsure what to think. Meaningful? Like what? The man chuckled softly. I run a business, and I also work on projects to help people in need. I've seen your teamwork and determination. I think you could learn a lot from seeing the world outside this neighborhood, from being part of something bigger than yourselves. But more importantly, I want you to see that helping others is always valuable. The boys exchanged glances, their curiosity growing. They had never been offered anything like this before. Their lives were simple, and most days were spent going to school, running errands, or playing with friends. They had never imagined a life that included someone like him, or opportunities that felt bigger than their everyday routines. The oldest boy finally spoke, his voice steady but cautious.
We don't know if we're ready for something like that.
We're just regular kids, the man smiled gently. Exactly. That's why I chose you. Regular kids can do extraordinary things when given the chance. And sometimes the smallest acts of kindness lead to the biggest changes. But you don't have to decide right away. I just wanted to come and see you, to let you know that this is an option if you're willing to take it. The boys felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. It was strange, almost unbelievable to have someone from yesterday standing in front of them offering an experience they had never imagined. The youngest boy, always the thoughtful one, spoke first. Sir, we'd like to know more. We want to understand what this is about before we say yes. Of course, the man replied. I'll explain everything. It's not just about me giving you something. It's about learning, growing, and seeing what you're capable of. You'll see new places, meet new people, and even help others along the way. You'll experience life in a way most kids your age never do, but only if you're willing to try and learn. The middle boy's eyes widened. So, it's like an adventure? The man laughed softly. Yes, you could call it that. But it's also a responsibility. You'll be expected to pay attention, to learn, and to continue being the kind, honest, hardworking boys you already are. That's the most important part. The rest will come naturally. The boys looked at each other, silently thinking about what it could mean. They thought about yesterday, how they had helped someone who seemed so different from them and how it had felt good to do the right thing. Now here was the same man, offering them a chance to continue doing good in ways they had never imagined. The youngest boy finally nodded. Okay, we'll try, but we promise we'll do our best and stay true to ourselves. The man's face lit up with a genuine smile. That's all I ask. I promise I won't ask you to do anything you're not comfortable with. I just want you to see what's possible when you help others and work together. He opened the SUV door, gesturing for them to get in. The boys hesitated for a moment. This was still intimidating, stepping into a vehicle they had never seen before, trusting someone they barely knew. But their curiosity and sense of adventure won over, and one by one, they climbed into the back seat. The interior was immaculate. Leather seats, polished panels, and small details that made it clear this was not an ordinary car. But the boys didn't pay much attention to the luxury. They were too focused on the man, on the conversation, and the promise of something new and exciting. As the SUV pulled away, they looked out the windows at the neighborhood passing by. Streets they had walked 100 times now looked different from this higher perspective. Houses that had seemed ordinary now seemed smaller. Streets that had felt familiar now felt like the start of something unknown. The man glanced at them through the rearview mirror. I'll start by showing you where I work. You'll meet people who do amazing things every day, and you'll see how much effort it takes to help others. It's not always easy, but it's worth it. The oldest boy leaned forward slightly, trying to take in every word. And we'll actually be helping people? Yes, the man replied. Not just watching. You'll participate. You'll learn by doing, and you'll see that even small contributions can make a huge difference in someone's life. The boys felt a flutter of excitement in their chests. They had never imagined themselves in a place where they could make a real impact. Their lives had always been simple, filled with schoolwork, chores, and small adventures, but now they were on the edge of something entirely new. As the SUV drove further away from their neighborhood, the youngest boy spoke quietly, almost to himself. I wonder what it will be like. To see the world like this. The middle boy smiled, nodding. I think it's going to be amazing. And I think we're ready. The oldest boy looked out the window, thinking of the car they had helped yesterday. Yeah, we helped him and now he's helping us. Feels right, you know? Feels like we're on the right path. The man overheard their conversation and nodded approvingly. Exactly. Life has a way of rewarding good deeds, but it also tests you. You'll see both and you'll grow stronger because of it. Remember, it's not the car, the money, or the status that matters. It's what you do with the opportunities you're given. As the SUV continued its journey, the boys watched the scenery change from familiar streets to larger roads, tall buildings, and busy neighborhoods. They saw the contrast between the life they knew and the life they were beginning to experience. Each turn of the wheel, each mile passed, felt like a step into a story they had never written but were now part of. By the time they reached the first stop, the man's office and headquarters for his philanthropic projects, the boys felt a mixture of awe, excitement, and nervous anticipation. The building was large but welcoming, with signs of people working together, smiling, and helping others. Inside, they were greeted by staff who welcomed them warmly, showing them that this was not just about money or business. It was about people, about kindness, and about making a difference. The man gave them a brief tour, explaining his projects, how people contributed, and how even small actions could change lives. The boys listened carefully, absorbing every word. They asked questions, their curiosity shining through, and even offered ideas on how they might help. It wasn't long before the first real task was given to them, a small project that involved helping a community center organize supplies and interact with children. The boys felt nervous but excited. This was their first chance to truly make an impact beyond their neighborhood. They remembered the flat tire, the kindness they had shown yesterday, and realized that today was just the beginning of something much bigger. As the afternoon sun began to dip, casting warm light through the windows of the building, the boys worked together, laughed, and learned. Each small victory, each smile from the people they helped, reinforced the lesson the man had been teaching them. Kindness, courage, and teamwork always mattered. By the time the day ended, they returned to the SUV exhausted but happy. They looked at each other and smiled, realizing that this was not just an adventure, it was a journey that would change them forever. And as the SUV drove them back home, the youngest boy leaned back in his seat and whispered, "I can't wait to see what happens next." And for the first time, the boys knew that life could hold surprises far beyond what they had ever imagined, and that one act of kindness could truly change everything. The morning sun spilled golden light over the city, waking the streets and the people who lived there. The three boys were already up, eager and a little nervous. Yesterday had been unforgettable. They had traveled in a black SUV, visited a big office, and helped at a community center. They had never imagined a day like that in their lives, and today, they knew, would be another day of surprises. As they walked outside to meet the SUV waiting for them, they couldn't stop talking quietly to each other. The oldest boy ran a hand through his hair. "I still can't believe we're doing this," he said. "It feels like a dream." The middle boy smiled. "It's not a dream. It's real. And it's exciting. I want to see everything, learn everything, help in every way we can." The youngest boy, always thoughtful, nodded slowly. "We have to remember why we're here. It's not just fun or adventure. We're here to learn and to help others too. That's what really matters." The black SUV arrived at the curb, gleaming in the morning light. The man stepped out and waved at them warmly. "Good morning, boys," he said. "I hope you're ready. Today will be full of lessons, but also opportunities to see how teamwork and kindness can change lives." The boys climbed in, excitement bubbling in their chests. The SUV pulled away smoothly, and the city opened before them in ways they had never noticed. Streets that seemed ordinary from the ground now stretched wide. Tall buildings rose proudly and people moved with purpose, many rushing to work, others simply going about their daily lives. The man spoke gently as they rode. "Today you'll see how small acts can ripple through a community. You'll participate in real projects, and you'll meet people who dedicate themselves to helping others. But it will not be easy. You'll have to pay attention, ask questions, and sometimes face challenges you didn't expect." The oldest boy leaned forward, curiosity lighting his face. "What kind of challenges?" "Some will be practical, the man said, like organizing supplies, helping children, or assisting in events. Others will be lessons in patience, empathy, and understanding. You'll see that not everyone's life is easy, and helping them requires more than just action. It requires heart and mind together. The middle boy's eyes widened. Wow. We'll really get to do all of that? Yes, the man replied, smiling. You'll see the difference you can make even in small ways. And every little step you take is important. You may not always notice it right away, but your efforts matter. The first stop of the day was a local shelter that provided food and care for children whose families struggled. The boys had visited a community center yesterday, but this shelter was different. It was quiet, filled with small rooms, each one carefully organized but clearly in need of attention. Volunteers moved quickly, arranging items, talking to children, and preparing meals. The boys could feel the energy and the purpose in the air. The man led them through the building. This is where children come to find safety, learn, and grow, he explained. You'll help them today. It's important to listen, to be patient, and to give them your time and attention. Even a small gesture, like a smile or a kind word, can make a difference in their lives. The boys nodded, a little nervous but eager. They were assigned small tasks at first. The oldest boy helped organize books and learning materials in one of the rooms. The middle boy arranged toys and games in another. The youngest boy sat with a small group of children, helping them with puzzles and talking to them quietly. It didn't take long for the boys to notice the differences in these children's lives. Some were shy, some were energetic, some had big smiles, and others looked tired or worried. The boys realized that these kids didn't always have the support they needed, but every act of kindness, every moment of attention, could mean a lot. At one point, a small girl with wide eyes approached the youngest boy. She had a crumpled drawing in her hand. "Can you help me finish this?" she asked softly. The youngest boy smiled gently. "Of course," he said. Together they worked on the drawing, adding colors and shapes. The girl's eyes lit up with happiness when it was done, and she hugged him briefly. The youngest boy felt a warmth in his chest, realizing that even something so simple could make someone's day brighter. The man watched from a distance, proud of the boys. He could see how naturally they connected with the children, how they listened and helped without thinking about reward or recognition. "You're doing well," he said quietly. "Remember, this is the heart of what I want you to experience. True impact comes from kindness, patience, and effort." Later, the boys joined a team preparing meals for families in need. They chopped vegetables, packed boxes with food, and learned about the logistics of helping many people at once. At first, the pace was overwhelming. There were so many things to do, so many instructions to follow. The middle boy wiped sweat from his forehead and muttered, "This is harder than I thought." The man smiled. "It's supposed to be. Real work often is. But notice how every small task matters. The vegetables you chop, the boxes you pack, the smiles you share. All of it counts." By midday, the boys were tired but exhilarated. They had interacted with children, helped prepare meals, and learned about the efforts it took to run a shelter. They saw the challenges that came with helping people in real life, and they also saw the joy it could bring. During a short break, the man spoke to them seriously. "You may notice that not everyone appreciates your help immediately. Some will be quiet, some may even be upset. But remember, your actions are not always about recognition. They are about impact. You may never know the full effect you have on someone's life, but that doesn't make it any less important." The oldest boy nodded thoughtfully. "It feels good to help, even if they don't say anything. But I can see what you mean. It's bigger than just us." "Exactly," the man said. "The world is full of opportunities to make a difference. Every person you meet has a story, a struggle, and a need. When you help, you create a ripple that can reach far beyond what you see." In the afternoon, the boys were asked to help with an outdoor project at a park. The local community center was organizing a small event for children, and the boys were tasked with setting up tables, arranging chairs, and decorating the space. This was different from the indoor tasks. They were outside, feeling the sun on their faces, learning to work with tools and materials they had never handled before. At first, the boys struggled to figure out the best way to set everything up. Chairs didn't line up evenly, tables were wobbly, and decorations kept falling. The middle boy sighed. "This is messy. How are we supposed to make it look nice?" The man crouched beside them, guiding them patiently. "It doesn't have to be perfect. Focus on teamwork, communication, and effort. You'll find a way to make it work together. Mistakes are part of learning. What matters is that you try." The boys worked together, slowly getting the tables and chairs in order. They laughed at their mistakes, encouraged each other, and gradually the area began to take shape. By the time they finished, the park looked welcoming, cheerful, and ready for the children who would arrive later. When the first kids came, their eyes lit up at the sight of the decorations and organized tables. They ran, laughed, and immediately started playing games. The boys joined in, guiding the activities, sharing snacks, and helping the children feel welcome. The youngest boy paused for a moment and looked around. He saw the children smiling, parents relieved and grateful, and the small community coming together. He felt a deep sense of pride. This really matters," he said quietly. The oldest boy nodded. "I didn't realize helping could feel like this. It's amazing." The middle boy smiled. "And it's not just us. Everyone helping together makes it even better." The man, watching them from a distance, felt a sense of satisfaction. The boys were learning, growing, and realizing the truth behind his words. Kindness, effort, and teamwork could create real change. As the day came to an end, the boys returned to the SUV, tired but filled with new energy. They had worked hard, helped people, and learned lessons they would carry with them forever. On the drive home, the youngest boy leaned back and whispered, "I didn't know helping could feel this big. Like we really did something important." The man smiled. "You did. Today you made a difference in ways you may not even fully understand yet. And tomorrow, you'll have the chance to do even more. Remember, it's not about what you get in return. It's about what you give." The boys nodded, feeling the weight and joy of the day. They were no longer just 3 kids from a quiet neighborhood. They were part of something bigger, learning lessons that would shape who they were and who they would become. And though they didn't know all the adventures ahead, they were ready to face them together with courage, kindness, and determination. The next morning, the 3 boys woke up with a mix of excitement and nervous energy. Yesterday had been full of learning and laughter, and today promised to bring even more. They knew that the man who had brought them into this new world had something planned for them, and they were eager to discover what it would be. As they walked to meet the black SUV waiting for them, they couldn't stop talking. "I wonder what we'll do today," said the middle boy, bouncing slightly on his heels. "I hope it's something big." The youngest boy smiled. "I think it's going to be big, but also meaningful. We're learning more than just how to help people. We're learning how to think, how to care, and how to be responsible." The oldest boy nodded. "Yeah, I didn't realize that helping could teach you so much. Yesterday, I thought it was just fun, but now I see it's more than that. It's about making a difference." The SUV arrived smoothly, and the man stepped out, greeting them with his usual warm smile. "Good morning, boys. Today we're going to take our work to a slightly bigger scale. You'll see the challenges of helping a community, and you'll also learn that patience, perseverance, and understanding are just as important as action." The boys climbed in, their excitement barely contained. As the SUV moved through the city, the man explained the plan for the day. "We'll start by visiting a neighborhood that has been struggling for a long time. People there need more than supplies. They need support, guidance, and encouragement. You'll help organize a small event for children and families, and you'll also spend time learning about the community's needs." The oldest boy leaned forward, curiosity shining in his eyes. "How do we even begin to help people we don't know?" The man smiled gently. "You begin by listening, observing, and understanding. You respect their stories and you offer help where it's needed. Sometimes it's as simple as giving a smile. Sometimes it's as complex as coordinating resources. The key is to approach everything with kindness and patience. When they arrived at the neighborhood, the boys were struck by how different it felt from their own community. The houses were smaller and more worn, the streets busier and narrower, and the energy of the people was both lively and cautious. Children played in the streets, some barefoot, while adults moved about with heavy loads or thoughtful expressions. The man guided the boys to a small park in the center of the neighborhood. Volunteers had already begun setting up tables, games, and small activity areas. Your task today, the man said, is to help manage these activities, assist the children, and make sure everyone feels welcome. Remember what I said about listening and observing. You'll learn more than just how to set up games. The boys got to work immediately. The oldest boy helped set up chairs and tables, carefully aligning them so that everything looked organized. The middle boy arranged games and materials for the children, making sure that each activity was ready to go. The youngest boy moved among the kids, helping with puzzles, reading books, and talking quietly to those who seemed shy or unsure. As the event began, the boys noticed how different children reacted to their presence. Some were eager and energetic, running up to them with wide smiles. Others were hesitant, watching from a distance, unsure whether to trust these newcomers. The boys learned quickly that every child was unique, and every interaction required patience and understanding. A small boy, holding a worn-out soccer ball, approached the middle boy. "Can you play with me?" he asked softly. The middle boy smiled. "Of course," he said, crouching down to the boy's level. They kicked the ball back and forth, laughing each time it bounced unevenly or rolled away. The boy's face lit up with joy, and the middle boy felt a sense of pride he had never experienced before. Meanwhile, the youngest boy noticed a group of children struggling to solve a puzzle. He knelt beside them, offering gentle guidance and encouragement. "You're doing great," he said. "Try this piece here, see? Perfect." Slowly, the children began to understand, and soon they were smiling and celebrating their small victory. The oldest boy, meanwhile, had been helping a mother carry a box of supplies to a nearby table. She thanked him warmly, explaining that these supplies were essential for her family. "You boys are really helping us," she said. "I don't know what we would do without people like you." The boys exchanged glances, realizing that their small actions were having a real impact. They felt a sense of responsibility, a deep understanding that their work mattered more than they had ever imagined. As the day went on, the man observed them closely. "You're doing well," he said. "Notice how your actions affect people. Even small gestures, helping with a game, carrying a box, talking to a child can change someone's day. You're learning not just to help, but to care deeply about others." At one point, a minor problem arose. A stack of supplies fell over, scattering items across the grass. Some children began to cry, frustrated by the mess. The boys immediately jumped into action. The oldest boy picked up the heavier items. The middle boy organized the scattered pieces, and the youngest boy comforted the children, calming them down with kind words and patience. The man watched, impressed. "See how you handled that situation? Challenges will always come, but it's how you respond that matters. You stayed calm, worked together, and fixed the problem. That's what real teamwork looks like." By the afternoon, the event was in full swing. Laughter echoed through the park as children played games. Parents engaged in conversations, and the community came alive with energy and hope. The boys moved among them, helping where they could, learning lessons in empathy, communication, and leadership. During a quiet moment, the youngest boy sat on a bench watching the children run and play. "I didn't know helping could feel like this," he said softly. "It's not just about the work. It's about seeing the happiness it brings." The oldest boy nodded. "Yeah, yesterday we helped in a shelter and that felt good. But today I see how much even small actions can matter to a whole community." The middle boy smiled. "And it's not just us. Everyone helping together makes it even stronger. It's like one small ripple can turn into waves of change." The man joined them, placing a hand gently on the youngest boy's shoulder. "Exactly. You're learning one of life's most important lessons. Kindness, patience, and effort can create ripples far beyond what you see, and you're doing it without expecting anything in return. That is true strength." As the event came to a close, the boys helped clean up, packing away games and supplies and saying goodbye to the children and parents who had become familiar faces throughout the day. They felt a mix of exhaustion and fulfillment, a sense that they had been part of something meaningful. On the drive back, the SUV was quiet for a while. The boys reflected on the day, absorbing the lessons they had learned. The youngest boy finally spoke. "I feel different, like we're learning how to be better people, not just helping with tasks, but understanding life more." The oldest boy nodded. "I agree. Yesterday was amazing, but today showed me what it really means to help. It's not just work, it's connection, care, and responsibility." The middle boy smiled. "And I can't wait to do more. To keep learning, to keep helping. I never thought we could be part of something like this." The man smiled at them in the rearview mirror. "You've taken your first real steps today. Tomorrow will bring new lessons, new challenges, and new opportunities to make a difference. But remember, it's not the tasks or the work that define you. It's your heart, your character, and how you treat others." The boys sat quietly after that, feeling the weight and meaning of his words. They had already learned so much, and yet they knew this journey was just beginning. They were no longer the same boys who had changed a flat tire yesterday. They were growing, evolving, and understanding the world in ways they had never imagined. As the SUV pulled back into their neighborhood, the boys looked out at the familiar streets, seeing them in a new light. Their homes, their friends, and their simple routines felt the same, yet they themselves had changed. They had seen the power of teamwork, the impact of small acts, and the importance of listening and caring. When the SUV stopped in front of their houses, the man turned to them. "You did well today. Remember everything you learned. And never forget that helping others is a choice, one that can change lives, including your own." The boys nodded, a quiet sense of pride filling their hearts. They climbed out of the SUV, waved goodbye, and walked to their homes. They were tired, yes, but filled with energy in a different way, the energy of growth, understanding, and purpose. That evening, as they sat together, recounting the day's events, they realized something important. This journey was about more than helping a single person or completing a task. It was about becoming better, stronger, and kinder. It was about learning lessons that would stay with them forever. And deep down, each of them knew that tomorrow would bring more lessons, more challenges, and more opportunities to make a real difference in the world. The morning sun rose slowly, spreading soft light across the quiet streets of the neighborhood. The three boys woke up with a mixture of excitement and anticipation. They had already learned so much over the past few days about teamwork, kindness, and the ways small actions could ripple out to affect many people. But today promised to bring something even bigger. When they stepped outside, the black SUV was waiting for them, polished and gleaming in the sunlight. The man who had brought them into this new world was already there, his warm smile welcoming them like an old friend. "Good morning, boys," he said. "Today will be special. You've learned a lot, and now you'll see how your actions can have a lasting impact, not just for a day, but for the future." The boys climbed into the SUV, their excitement barely contained. The drive through the city felt different this time. They weren't just observing, they were thinking, reflecting, and noticing things they had never paid attention to before. The streets, the buildings, the people, they all seemed connected in ways they had never realized. The man spoke gently. "Today you'll help a larger group of people and also take part in planning a project that will continue to benefit the community. This is where you'll see the real power of teamwork and planning. It's not just about helping in the moment, it's about creating something that lasts." The boys listened intently, understanding that this day could mark a turning point. They weren't just doing tasks anymore. They were learning how to think ahead, how to organize, and how to inspire others to join in. Their first stop was a community center that served children, families, and elderly residents. The center was bustling with activity, volunteers moving quickly to prepare food, organize supplies, and set up areas for games and learning. The boys felt a sense of purpose as they stepped inside. "You'll help organize an event that will include everyone here," the man explained. "You'll work with volunteers, children, and families to make sure the event runs smoothly. And at the same time, you'll help set up a system that will allow the center to continue helping people long after today is over." The oldest boy nodded. "So it's not just about today, it's about making a plan that lasts?" Yes, the man replied. It's about creating something sustainable, something that can keep helping people, even when we're not here. The boys immediately got to work. The middle boy helped arrange supplies and organize activity stations. The youngest boy worked with children, guiding them in games and small learning activities. The oldest boy coordinated with volunteers, making sure everyone knew their tasks and that the schedule would run smoothly. As the event began, the boys noticed how much joy it brought to the people around them. Children laughed as they played, parents smiled as they received assistance, and volunteers moved with a sense of purpose. The boys understood that the event was more than fun. It was hope, encouragement, and support all rolled into one. At one point, a young boy came up to the youngest of the three. He looked shy and nervous, holding a small notebook close to his chest. "Can you help me with this?" he asked quietly. The youngest boy smiled warmly. "Of course. Let's see what you have." Together, they worked on the notebook, solving problems, drawing pictures, and sharing ideas. The boy's confidence grew with every word of encouragement, and by the end, he was smiling broadly, proud of what he had accomplished. The youngest boy felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was what helping truly meant, not just doing a task, but inspiring someone to believe in themselves. Meanwhile, the oldest boy noticed a group of parents struggling to organize donated items. Without hesitation, he joined them, carrying boxes, sorting supplies, and making sure everything was easy to find. One mother looked at him gratefully. "You boys are really kind," she said. "I don't know how we would manage without you." The middle boy, noticing that some of the children were bored, set up an impromptu game of soccer in the park outside. He encouraged teamwork, fair play, and fun, making sure everyone had a turn. The laughter and energy from the game spread to the adults watching, and soon the whole area was filled with happiness. By midday, the event was in full swing. The boys had learned to coordinate, problem-solve, and communicate effectively. They had faced small challenges, like a spilled box of supplies or a child feeling left out, and had handled them calmly and confidently. They began to realize that helping wasn't always easy, but it was always worth it. During a quiet moment, the man approached them. "Look at what you've accomplished today," he said. "Notice how every small action, every kind word, and every effort to help has created something bigger. This is the heart of giving back, making a difference that lasts." The oldest boy nodded. "It's amazing to see it all together. I never realized how much teamwork and planning mattered. Yesterday and today, it's like we're learning how to be part of something bigger than ourselves." The youngest boy added, "And it feels good to know we're helping not just for a moment, but for the future too." "That's what matters the most." The man smiled proudly. "Exactly. This is just the beginning. You've seen the difference you can make, and you've learned the skills and values that will guide you throughout life. Kindness, patience, teamwork, and understanding. They will carry you far." After the event, the boys helped clean up and pack away the supplies. The community members thanked them warmly, expressing their gratitude in ways both simple and heartfelt. The boys felt a deep sense of accomplishment. They had worked hard, helped many people, and seen the direct results of their efforts. On the drive back, the SUV was quiet, filled with the boys' thoughts and reflections. The youngest boy spoke softly. "I can't believe how much we've done, and I can't believe how much we've learned too." The middle boy nodded. "Yeah, it's more than just helping. It's learning how to lead, how to care, and how to make a real difference. I feel proud of what we've done." The oldest boy smiled, looking out the window. "I feel the same. And I think the most important thing is that we've learned to believe in ourselves too. Yesterday we helped with a flat tire. Today we helped a whole community. That's incredible." The man, glancing at them from the driver's seat, said gently, "Remember, boys, the lessons you've learned are for life. Helping others, working together, and making thoughtful choices will always open doors. And even when you face challenges, you now know that you can handle them with courage and care." When they returned to their neighborhood, the boys stepped out of the SUV and waved goodbye. The man reminded them one last time, "Keep what you've learned close to your hearts. Use it every day in big ways and small. And always remember that even the smallest acts of kindness can have lasting effects." As they walked home together, the boys reflected on the journey they had experienced. From helping a stranded man with a flat tire to organizing events for children and families, they had seen firsthand how a single good deed could grow into something much bigger. They had learned patience, teamwork, empathy, and leadership, and most importantly, they had discovered the joy that comes from truly helping others. That evening, as they sat together recounting the past few days, they realized that their lives had changed forever. They had grown in ways they hadn't imagined, learning not just to help but to care deeply, to lead thoughtfully, and to make choices that could positively impact the world around them. The youngest boy spoke quietly. "I think what's really amazing is that we didn't expect any of this. We just helped someone yesterday because it felt right. And now, look at what's happened. It's like one act of kindness created so much more." The oldest boy nodded. "Yeah, and it's not just about what he taught us. It's about what we discovered in ourselves. We can do more than we thought. We can make a difference," the middle boy smiled. "And we'll keep doing it. Not because someone told us to, but because it feels right. We've learned that helping others can change lives, our lives too." As the sun set over the neighborhood, casting warm colors across the streets and houses, the boys felt a quiet sense of peace. They had started as three ordinary kids who helped a stranger, and now they had grown into young people who understood the power of kindness, teamwork, and compassion. They knew challenges would continue to come, but they also knew they had the strength, courage, and heart to face them, and so their journey ended that day with hope, understanding, and a promise to themselves to always help when they could, to work together, and to use what they had learned to make the world a little brighter, one small act of kindness at a time. From that day forward, the boys carried the lessons of those extraordinary days with them, remembering that even the simplest actions, done with care and courage, could leave a lasting impact, not just on others, but on themselves. And they knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they were ready to face them together with open hearts and strong spirits.